Okay, so here's a couple of things that you need to know for graphing quadratics. A quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c, and that's a y equals. The shape is a parabola, and that's a U-shaped graph. Okay, not V, U. So make sure you curve your edges. Another thing is for linear equations, we have to have 3 points when we graph, but for quadratics, we need to have 5 symmetric points. Oops, points. One of the points has to be the vertex, which is either going to be a maximum or a minimum point. So speaking of that, let me go ahead and tell you the story of Max and Minnie. Okay, so here's Max and here's Minnie. All right, so here's the story of Max and Minnie. So Max, it all has to do with their A's. And let me actually rewrite the y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And here's, for Minnie, let's do her in red. Okay, so Minnie is always positive. She's so popular. Everyone wants to be friends with Minnie. She walks through the hall, everybody waves, everybody loves her, and she's a nice popular girl. Okay, she's nice to everyone. So every day she walks into the building and she is just super duper happy. She is positive. One day, Max decides to, because he's got a little crush on Minnie, okay, because she's like so cool. So he decides to wink at her. Well, Minnie wasn't trying to be crazy, or she wasn't trying to ignore him. So she just kept on walking by, just smiling, okay, just so happy, just doing her thing. And so when Max, winked at her, she didn't see him, and he got upset about it for the rest of the day. So for the rest of the day, he was frowning. Okay, here's little Max. Here, you can give her a little bow if you want to. Max, let's give him a little cowlick. So Minnie is always going to be positive, and Max is always, frowning, and he's negative. And really, why I'm telling you the story is because if the A is positive, the parabola is going to open upwards. If A is negative, the parabola is going to open downwards. Okay, so this is all about the vertex. If it's a maximum, it's going downwards. If it's a minimum, it's going to be opening upwards. All right. Another thing that you need to know is the axis of symmetry. And I don't think I put 2 M's on the other one earlier for symmetrical. Did I? No, put another M in there. Sorry. All right, so axis of symmetry. The equation is x equals negative b over 2a. And we're going to get the b and the a from, once again, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So the a is going to go here. The b is going to go here. All right, so that's going to be our axis of symmetry, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so if you don't have your calculator, please grab that because that's a biggie for this. So example number 1, y equals x squared plus 3. Yes, that is a quadratic. We're going to go ahead and rewrite it as y equals x squared. There's no x, so that's really just a plus 0x and then plus 3. And of course, that's a 1, right, if the coefficient's not there. So the first thing we want to do is find the axis of symmetry. So x equals negative b over 2a. So now we plug in. Negative, my b is 0. 2, my a is 1. 0 over 2 is just 0. So my axis of symmetry is x equals 0. That's the line. So I'm going to dash it, x equals 0. Remember Hoy Vux, vertical? So this is my axis of symmetry, and it's dashed. Now, to find my vertex, I plug x equals 0 back into my original equation. So y equals 0 squared plus 3. Y equals 0 plus 3. Y equals 3. So my vertex is the point 0, 3. That's my vertex. Okay? So I would go to 0, 1, 2, 3. Now, I know that it's going to point upwards because my A is positive, because the A is 1. Therefore, it's going to be a minimum. It's going to be a mini, so it's going to open upwards. So if I go ahead and do my, my table, I need to have 5 values. In the middle, I'm going to put my vertex, which is 0, 3. Remember, they had to be symmetrical. So now, if I go to my calculator, I put in my equation, which was, make sure you take off your inequals app, guys, if you haven't done that yet. So it's x squared plus 3. Okay, and I can look at the graph if I want to. Yep, look, it's pointing up like I thought. And then I can go to second table, and I can find the rest of my points. So I'm going to put on either side my points. Why is this doing? Sorry, for some reason I had to restart my calculator. But anyways, I'm at the table. Here's my vertex at 0, 3. And now I'm going to take 2 above and 2 below. Now remember, they have to be symmetrical. So my y values should be the same. Okay? So now negative 2, negative 1, 1, 2. And my y values were, oops, where am I going? 7, 4, 4, 7. And now I can just finish up by graphing. So negative 2, 7 is at negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Negative 1, 4, 1, 4, and then 2, 7. And then I would just go ahead and connect by dots. And remember, U it out. Don't put a V, okay? Make sure that you make sure that's nice and rounded. Now here's another calculator trick just to show real quick. If you forget how to find your axis of symmetry or whatever else, you can find your minimum or maximum by saying second, calculate. And once again, it was a smiling graph, so that's a mini, so I would say 3. And then I go to the, do you see down here where it says left bound? I would go to the left with my little spider, click enter. I would go to the right, because now it's saying right bound, click enter, and my calculator's like, hey, do you want me to guess? I'm like, yes. And then remember, we talked about this. This is actually equal to 0 because this is a tiny number. That e means 10 to the negative 8, which is really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, okay. That's a tiny number. 0.0000133. So that's actually 0, 3, which isn't that what we got for our vertex when we plugged it in? So that's my vertex. So that's just another little calculator trick to find your vertex. Okay? Here's the next one, and that's done. But remember, you have to have your axis of symmetry. Don't forget it. All right, here's the next one. Y equals negative x squared minus 4x minus 4. Now, once again, from the get-go, this is a negative, so I know it's going to be a max, and I know it's going to be frowning. Okay, that's a for sure. So let's find our axis of symmetry by saying x equals negative b over 2a. So negative, my b is a negative 4 over 2, my a is a negative 1. That would go down to 4 over negative 2. So my x is equal to negative 2. That's my axis of symmetry. Okay, so then I go to x equals 2, which is, oops, not 2, negative 2. Hopefully you can draw straighter than I can, because obviously I can't. Now I know that x equals negative 2 is my axis of symmetry, so I plug it back in here to find my y value. So y equals negative 2 squared minus 4, negative 2 minus 4. All right, so y equals negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Negative 4 times negative 2 is a positive 8. Y equals negative 4 plus 8 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So that's the point. My vertex is the point negative 2, 0. So I would go over here and negative 2, 0. That's my vertex. All right, so then I need to fill in my table of values. So in the middle is my negative 2, 0. I'm going to go back to my calculator, clear out everything in there, and then I'm going to put in my equation, negative x squared minus 4x minus 4. And remember, if it says error domain, it's probably because you have your stat plot on or inequals or who knows. Once again, just like we thought, it's definitely going downward, and we can see that our vertex is at negative 2, 0. So let's second look at the table. I center it, and here is my table that I'm writing down on my paper, because here's my vertex in the middle, and then I need to go 2 above, 2 below. So let's do negative 4, negative 3, negative 1, 0. And negative 4, negative 1, negative 1, negative 4. Wait, I just brain farted on that. Negative 4, negative, okay. Negative 4, negative 1, negative 1, negative 4. All right, remember the negative 4s and the negative 1s need to be symmetrical. So now if I plot the rest of that, negative 4, negative 4, negative 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 1, and 0, negative 4. And then you U it out as much as possible. One more. Y equals x squared plus 2x plus 3. Yeah, all right. All right, so first thing I do is I find my axis of symmetry. So x equals negative b over 2a. Negative, my b is 2 over 2, my a is 1. So that's negative 2 over 2, which is just negative 1. So my axis of symmetry is at x equals negative 1. Okay, that's my, if it says what's my equation for my axis of symmetry, boom, x equals negative 1. Once again, I know this is going to be a minimum, and it's going to be smiling upward because my a is positive. I plug back in my equation to find my y value. Negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. And then I've got the plus 3. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 3 is 2. So my vertex is at the point negative 1 from here, and then y is 2. So let's go ahead and plot that. So negative 1, positive 2. And then let's go ahead and put it into our equation, or into our y equals. So clear that out. X squared plus 2x. Oops, what am I doing? Sorry, let me just clear it out for a second. X squared plus 2x plus 3. And then let's just go to the table. Okay, so now I need to find my vertex was at the point negative 1, 2. So I need to go 0, oops, yeah, 0, no. 0 needs to come. Darn it. This needs to be negative 2, sorry, negative 3, 0, 1. And then if I go to my table, I need to go 2 above and 2 below. So 6, 3, 3, 6. And once again, now I can just go ahead and plot. So negative 3, positive 6. Negative 2, 3. And then I can honestly just go like this and U it out. That's it.